glad you're all here tonight. My name is Sherii, and I want you all to know that I grew up in a loving home. I grew up in a home that was safe. I grew up in a home that we addressed our challenges and frustrations and problems and tried to find solutions. And it was a great place to be. My disposition as a child might shock you, but I was happy. I know, surprising. But I also had one unique and very difficult challenge that I faced. You wouldn't know about it today, but then it was very difficult, and I had the problem of getting my letters and my numbers upside down, backwards, inside out. I don't know what the heck happened to the darn things, but they weren't making words that everybody else could read. And I was just sort of making them up as I went along. The thought of being called on in elementary school to read something out loud was very much like wanting to throw up. But my dad knew this, and so one of the things that my dad would do with me each night, well, most nights anyway, after school, he'd take me and we'd nestle up on the couch and he would read to me. He would read scads of books. So we went through all of the Nancy Drew mysteries. We went through all the Hardy Boy mysteries, the Boxcar Children books, you name it, we went through them all. And I'm not really sure whether I was more excited about nestling with my dad or just reading. Both were kind of cool. My favorite ones, however, were the Dr. Seuss books, because those ones actually made sense, and I could pretend like I was reading them, and I could make up words because he did that all the time, and I knew that they would rhyme at the end, so rhyming was good. I sort of felt like I was getting somewhere, but realistically, it wasn't happening. So, one of the things that happened in elementary school is that I happened to have a friend who had a very similar frustration as myself. Her and I managed to find each other, and we would pretend to read together. And we'd pretend to fill in those darn little SRA things, you know, where you had to figure out what the story was all about. Well, we got the response back that we were just frankly creative, I think. So, at any rate, Tracy and I would read together. We would try to struggle through this whole process together. We would try to make it seem as if we were getting somewhere. And one afternoon, my dad came home from work and he let me know that Tracy's home had caught on fire. It was so bad that they had to move out of their home and into a hotel, and that they would not be returning to school for the rest of the year. I was devastated. So, my dad, being that wonderful man and creative person that he is, thought that maybe if we could take some books to Tracy after school, after he got home from work, that we could still spend some time together. I'm thinking this is a great idea, but I don't have a huge supply of books. Not sure whose idea it was, but the thought came to us that if we started going around the neighborhood, because everybody knew what happened, that they would be willing to donate some books that we could take to them while they were in the hotel and make it seem a little more home-esque. He said that would be fine. So that next day I came home from school, I pulled out my little red wagon, and I was off hot to trot to go find some books that I was going to be able to share. I didn't get very far around the neighborhood before my wagon was full, and I was kind of excited about this. And I was really excited to have my dad come home and say, "Look what I got!" Well, when he got home from work, we put everything together, we went over to the hotel, we brought them in, my dad talked to her dad, and Tracy and I got a chance to sit down and read through some books, and we left some books there for them to read through. I kind of thought the idea was cool, so frankly, the next day after school, guess what I did? That little red wagon and I went for a walk again, and we collected more books. That night, the next night, the next night, and each night, my dad very diligently and patiently would take me over to go visit, and we would go read. I'm not sure how long this went on, but at one of those evenings, Tracy's dad says to mine, We have enough books to last till the house is rebuilt. Dad had to break it to me, and we had to do something. I was somewhat disappointed. It didn't mean that I didn't get to go visit anymore, but what was I going to do with the stacks of books I still had in the garage we hadn't even brought yet? Yeah. Well, my dad, in the wondrous thought process that he had, said, you know, it's getting close to the end of the school year. I wonder if other kids might like to read some books over the summer, because they're not going to have the library at school any longer. I'll clean out the basement if you'll help me, and we'll get it all set up and let the kids have and enjoy a neighborhood library. All right, I got a new quest. I'm super excited about this now. We go through the books that we have downstairs. We've cleaned out the basement. We've got new carpet in there. My dad puts shelves on every one of the walls. He takes the door that's in the basement and whacks it right in half, and then he cuts another hole in it so that it looks like it's a door where you would go visit a store. And you could even slide your books in the hole that he managed to make at the bottom. He went so far as to make a box that we put outside that people could return their books to, just in case we weren't home. This is kind of cool, right? Okay, but now I don't quite have enough books to fill up all the shelves, you see. Nor am I quite sure how to put them on the shelf. So my dad takes me down to Willard Library. I learned the process of, I think, what we call the Dewey Decimal System, and I understand then how the numbers and the letters and the names of the books and the authors kind of all come together to help me figure out where to put these books at, and how I'm supposed to keep track of who gets what and how it comes back and where the book ends up after that. And I am once again excited. Get the little red wagon out, I did. We finished the rest of our block. I went to the block next door, and we filled up that library that my dad helped me to build. There was books from top to bottom. We put in an extra table and chairs in there, and a beanbag chair with a nice light, that anybody was welcome to come into our home over the summertime and read a book. One of the amazing things happened over that summer. By the time it was done, my numbers went the right direction. My letters all started to make sense. I could actually sit and read a story and understand what the ending was supposed to be. I began to see the pictures that the words were trying to create in the stories, and I could see the beauty of the island that that little dolphin was swimming around outside. Didn't really realize it in the process. I didn't realize it until I went back to school that next year, and suddenly I could answer those questions. I didn't feel quite so sick when I was called on in the classroom to read out loud in front of these people. Funny thing is, I finished the rest of elementary school with lots more fun, managed to survive going to high school and graduate with honors, and then I went on to college, and you'll never guess where I ended up working in college. No, it wasn't my basement, it was at the library at Michigan State. That library paid for me to go to college. That library that my dad helped me to figure out how to start when I was a kid. You see, I grew up in a loving home, a home where you look at challenges and complications and problems and you find ways to develop solutions. Thank you.